So students, as we have already started with lists, so all these things I'll just give you a recap. We had started with what are lists. Okay, the fact that they are mutable data types. They are similar, they are sequences like strings and tuples, but they are mutable. That is, we can change the content very easily. We can easily assign individual elements. And also lists, various ways to access lists, various ways to create lists. We had seen all that. Okay, creating lists, how we can create lists. We can create empty list, we can create a list using function, we can create long lists, nested lists. Okay, you list using existing sequences, accept lists from the user. So these are the various ways in which we can create lists. Accessing list, of course, how do you access list? Using the indices, list indices, right? So if you want to access any particular element in the list, you only specify its index. Similarity with strings. Lists are in many ways similar to strings. That is, if you have already studied strings, you won't find it difficult to study lists. Okay, it is very easy. So you can find over here that we already have had discussed the len function, which is used to return the length of the string. Indexing and slicing, we had also studied this. That is slice. Okay, we'll do it once again. Talking about list indexing. You already know that just like strings, lists also contain positive indices and negative indices. So I'm just going to specify a list here. Just a second. Instead of writing it like this, I will rather take it from here. So I have the Python shell over here, and I have already created a list named numbers. So you can see numbers over here. Okay, I'm just going to create a simple list, numbers. And I'm using a kind of a list comprehension. You will see this for the first time. Like if I write here x for x in range 1 comma 21. So now when I print numbers, you will see it already takes these values. So I'll just show it to you. It's a very short and simple way to create a list whenever the list contains numbers in a particular sequence. So you can see it over here. Oh God, this I don't know what's the issue with my Microsoft Whiteboard. I'll have to close this and start again. Students, please excuse today, okay? Because you'll have to bear with this. Certain things are not working properly. Now it's somewhat okay. So we have numbers, which is the name of the list, and we are using something known as list comprehension over here. What do you understand by list comprehension? We create lists using the existing control flow structures in Python. You can use if statement also. You can use the for loop also over here, for along with the range function, in order to create a list. So now here I have written x for x in range 1 comma 21. So if I had taken it like this, that is for x in range 1 comma 21, had it been like this, x would have already taken values from 1 to which value? 20. 1 2 3 4 5 up to 20. That is all the counting numbers. So here x represents all these values of x, that is from 1 to 20. So numbers will be getting all the values of x which fall within this range. So instead what you will be seeing is, when I actually see numbers, it is like this now. So I'm going to copy all these values. So these are numbers, you can see it over here, and I'm going to just write numbers. So It's very simple. Instead of writing all the numbers again and again, it's better to use a list comprehension. In this way, you can easily create a list. This is something which we will be studying in the studying next year, but just a small example I have given you. That is, if you want to generate numbers in a continuous range, you can use this. So I'll just explain it once again. You can take any value like I will represent every number, every element of the list, followed by for I in range, say 10. So I have taken 10 over here. It means it starts from 0, which is default, and ends at 9. So that means I will represent any values within this range, and hence numbers will be equal to which all values? Up to 9. Right? So this is how you used list comprehension. So I have this list over here, and now on this list we are going to perform some operations. Let's see. First is len operation, we have already seen. Next is we are going to see indexing and slicing operations. Now, talking about indexing, each of these values will be having both positive indices and negative indices. So, positive will be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and negative indices from this side. So, these are negative indices. So, it's just similar to strings. Here also, if you have to access any list item, you will be specifying the index over here, and you will be getting its value. So here 12 index, it stands for the value 13, and same it has also, if you write here numbers -8, then also you will get what? 30, right? And you use square brackets to specify the index, right? Never the round bracket, but the square bracket to specify the index. This is indexing, and we have slicing, just like we had done it in strings also. So if I write numbers, we will be specifying a start index followed by a stop index and skip value. So here if I write numbers 3 colon 10, that means this list slice would contain values from starting from index 3. So this is index 3, and 10 is exclusive, so it will accept only values till 9. That means this is going to be your list slice. So this is the list slice which you extracted out of this list, right? Now these, let me tell you something, start index and stop index, they act as list boundaries. They are the boundaries. Hence, even if you are providing any value which is out of this range, okay, let me say if I write 3 and if I write 30 over here, do you see any index with 30? There is no index with 30. Let's try them out over here in the Python shell. So if I write here numbers 3 colon 30, then also it's going to print the list. How it is going to start printing the list? Starting from index 3. So here index 3 is what? 4, and because 30 is not there, it is exceeding the last index, so it will take up all the elements starting from the index 3 till the last, till whatever is the last index of the list. Same way, let's take something like, okay, if I take anything like, I was thinking that if I take any negative value, maybe -3, and if I want to end it at 30. If you take minus 3 is somewhere over here. So it will not consider -3 as something lying this side. Rather, -3 will be considered this negative index. And because I have given the final stop index as 30, so it will take up three elements, 18, 19, and 20. So you can see it over here. It has taken three elements starting from the negative index to the end. Let me tell you that it always moves in the forward direction until and unless you give a negative value in the skip value. So suppose I write here, let me just say -3 colon, wait a sec. You think I'll run from, if I suppose want to display values starting from 18 to 4, right? So here 18 has the negative index as -3 and 4 has the negative index as -70. So you may think that we can write something like this, numbers -3 up to -18, because this should be exclusive, and -1. Let's try this out, but it's not going to work. Let's see. So you can see that 18, it is displaying all the values starting from 18 up to the value 4, that is 17, this index, because we had taken the stop value as -18, and because we had taken -1 as the skip value, so it is now moving in the reverse direction. If you don't use this negative value for skip index, it will always continue to move in the forward direction. Understood? So that's what we do in case of slicing. One more thing I'll tell you, if suppose you want individual item assignment, that is also allowed, but here if you try to write numbers 30 equals 45, it will give you an error. Why? Because we don't have any element with the index 30. But in case of list slicing, it is allowed. Why? Because there the start and the stop index, they only work as the list boundaries. Anything within the boundary will be considered. Okay. So students, you can do a lot of hit and trial on this list slicing. You can try slicing the list in different ways, whether in the forward direction or in the reverse direction, right? Even if I want to display the values skipping by one value, suppose I write here numbers and I have started it from -3 and I've ended it at -18 and I give -2, so it will print all the values in the reverse direction only, that too skipping by a factor of -2. That is, it will start from here 18 and then it will skip one value. Okay, -2, that means after 18 it should display 16. So you can see 18, 16, 14. So it is skipping by a factor of 1, 18, 16, then 14, then 12, then 10, then 8, then it is 6, then it is 4. So 4 is just within the boundary, right? So it is displaying all the values in the reverse order from the right, in which order, from right to left. So this is list slicing, and list slicing is the same whether you work with strings, tuples, or lists, right? Next is membership operators. I had already explained that day. Concatenation operator. Now, what is concatenation? It means merging of two strings. Merging of two strings. sorry, two sequences, in this case lists, and creating a third list. So it doesn't change the original lists. This plus operator is used as a concatenation operator. So merging of two lists, that is joining two lists. Using which operator? The plus operator, which is actually concatenation operator. Right? So this is the concatenation operator and it is used for joining two lists. So if I write here, if I have a list here 1, 2, 3 and I have a list here 4, 5, 6, if I just join them right now, how am I joining them? I have just taken two objects, unnamed objects or unlabeled objects, just use the concatenation operator. It will give me a third list which contains all elements of the first list and the second list, where elements of the second list appear after the elements of the first list. So this is the list, first list, that is list 1, this is list 2, this is list 3, right? So three different lists are there. These two original lists are unchanged, they are not changed with this. Okay, instead a third list is returned, a third list is created. So you can easily just assign it, just assign this concatenation between two lists to a third list, right? Let's see concatenation over here. So firstly I'm just taking L1 as, or I'll simply take L3 as 1 comma 2 comma 3 plus, and when I print L3 you will see it contains all the values, right? I can also just assign lists in this way. So what I'm doing here is, just give me a moment. Let's print L1, this is 1 2 3 4 5. Let's print L2, it is A B C D E. So I have L1 and I have L2, and if I just write L1 plus L2, it will return, it is returning what? The concatenation of both lists. But if you originally see L1 and L2, they are unchanged. So I'll be assigning their concatenation to a third list, that is L3. So now if you print three of them, you will see three different lists. Now you can see something, how I printed the values. I just wrote L1 comma L2 comma L3. So it is returning everything in this form. A very good look at this. Can anyone tell me that which form the final list has been returned? I have just specified L1 comma L2 comma L3, just a comma in between. So by default, it is returning all the three lists together as three different elements, 1, 2, 3, as three different elements within an outside tuple. You can see, you can understand this through these parentheses, that is round brackets. And inside these round brackets you can find the individual elements of the tuple, and let me just specify their indices. This is 0, this is 1, this is 2, and this is -1, this is -2, this is -3. So this is first list, first tuple element, this is second tuple element, this is the third tuple element, and all these three elements are lists. Okay, so you can say it is a tuple of list elements. Every individual element within the outer tuple is a list, and the lists are further lists or a collection or a sequence of elements inside, whether character or numeric or alphanumeric. Got it? So it returns all the three in the form of a tuple. Is this clear to everyone? So what is concatenation or merging of two lists? Next is replication. Now replication also means repetition of lists. Okay, and normally it is done by so this asterisk operator is used for doing this, right? And we can only use two operands on either side of, that is, operand 1 should be what? Operand 1 can be a list and operand 2 should be an integer value, nothing else. So here if I just write 1 comma 2 comma 3 and just write multiplied by 3, you can see that all elements within this are repeated thrice. You can see it over here that all elements are repeated thrice. Because this is a list and you are multiplying it by a number 3. So once, one time, second time, third time. So this is it. And if you just write, it will be repeating how many times? 5 times. Right? So 3 into 5, how many? 15 occurrences you will get. So this is what? List repetition. You can also do it using any particular list like L1 into 3, and this will repeat all the elements of L1 how many times? 3 times, and the whole thing will be enclosed within square brackets. You can see that square brackets only appear once outside like this. Same is with strings also. If you write hello and multiply it 3 times, it will also be considered as one whole string, right? How to get a space in between? You can simply write hello plus space. Let me see if I can get this. I'll be using a bracket because obviously multiplication will have more preference over this. So this way I can get a hello. What I did is just appended, I just concatenated a space along with this hello, and I'm getting it like this in this one. Is it clear to everyone? Next is accessing individual elements. We have already done that. Difference from strings. Can anyone tell me what is the difference of how are lists different from strings? After so much of discussion, if we are able to do this, that is, if I am able to do this work, numbers 3 equals 75. This is considered valid in lists. But if I write something like st1 3 equals u, this is considered invalid in strings. So can you tell me what are we talking about over here that is different from strings? How are lists? What is that one prominent difference between lists and strings?
Ma'am, lists are mutable whereas strings are not non-mutable.
Very good. Lists are mutable objects, whereas strings are immutable objects, because of which individual item assignment in lists is allowed, whereas it is not allowed in strings. And the main reason for this is what? The main reason is because lists don't store any data directly, right? Rather, lists store what data in the form of pointers to individual data elements. So these pointers are merely links to memory locations which can be broken very easily, whereas tuples, strings, they are what, immutable. They directly store data values. Okay, we cannot change values in place in case of strings. Strings can contain characters which could be digits also, Varun. They could be special symbols also, and lists can also that is not the reason. Okay. The main reason is uh, the mutability and immutability. Strings are immutable, whereas lists are mutable, right? So individual character assignment has got nothing to do with whether it is storing characters, whether it is storing numbers, float, or anything. But what is it? It should allow, right? That's what we are trying to say. So in lists, it's not allowed, whereas in in strings, it is not allowed, whereas in lists it is very much allowed. Traversing a list. So let's see how we can traverse a list. Traversing a list means just accessing each element of the list. So please I'm just writing this, accessing each element of a list, thereby processing each element. Okay, so accessing each element of the list. So if you want to traverse each and every element of the list, the very suitable form of a control structure which you use in Python is for item in collection variant. It is a very convenient variant of for loop which is not present in many C++ based programming languages. Okay, but it is the most suitable for accessing elements in any collection. So you can easily access any element within a list. How? Let's see it over here. I have the Python shell and I'm going to write a program in the interactive mode only. Numbers, we already have numbers here, so I'm going to add not add, I'm just going to display each item of numbers on a separate line. So how to do? For item in numbers, simple, print item, and just go back and print, and you can see all the values are printed as it is. Same way, if I write for item in numbers, print item, comma, end is space. So you will see, because I have given a space in end, that's why it is printing on the same line. If I just write at the rate, it is going to also add an at the rate symbol after each of the numbers, after each of the list items, right? So this is it. If I just want to find out the sum of all the numbers, how will I do it? Simply take sum. I'm taking s equals 0 for item in numbers, s plus equals to item, come out and print what? S. So the sum of all the values will be printed. So this is a very easy and convenient way for accessing each of the elements in a collection, specifically a list, right? We have a program now. Let's see that program. Program to print elements of a list. The list is given to you, that is QWERTY, in separate lines along with elements both indices, that is positive and negative. Okay, so we have this program here. Let us first understand what is asked in this program. Henceforth, students, I am going to save some time, so I am not going to waste a lot of time in writing the pseudocode and the flowchart. I hope that should be okay with you all, because by now you should be comfortable. You might have got an idea about how to write pseudocode and how to draw a flowchart. So you have got a list here. So let me create a QWERTY list. So this is the list, right? And you have to print the elements of this list on separate lines. So let me first write all the elements. Right. And the first thing, to work it out in your copy, you should write the indices. Now, what you have to do, print elements, fine, that is fine, in separate lines, along with elements both indices. You have to print the indices also, like it should be something like this: q and positive index. You can just provide a colon in between, giving the positive index and giving the negative index. Okay, I'll explain how I did this. Okay, see, what I did was, first thing, create st list. And instead of writing QWERTY using the hard way, you can simply use the list function to convert the string QWERTY. Okay. For I, now what I am doing is, here I need to work with the indices. I need the indices over here. So one way is to use an enumerate function, and one way I'm telling you, for I in range, len st. So I in range function I have used, and now I've, in order to print the value, I will be accessing the elements in this way, because I represents what? It doesn't represent the items anymore. It represents what? The index of the element, right? So sti will give me the actual character at that index location, followed by, I want the positive index, which is what? I, followed by, I want the negative index, which should be, I can simply write it as I minus len st. This just taking into consideration, if I is 0, len st is already what? 6. So 0 minus 6 will give you minus 6. That is a negative index for the first element, that is q. Similarly, for the next value of I, 1 minus 6, which will be minus 5, and so on, it will continue. So you can see this is how it is represented. So this program, you can do it in two ways. So just check it out, right? You can do this as, I'm just inserting a print, blank print statement over here. So you can see that you are getting the same output for both. What is the difference here? Here I have used an enumerate function, which also associates an index, a positive index or ordinal number, which with each of the elements within the list. So element is represented by X, whereas I represents the index. Here I have used indices, and here I have used indices at both places, but here I have used the range function, and here I have used the collection for item in collection variant, right? So different ways are there in which you can access elements within the list. So with this, I conclude today's class.